to Progressive Retail. I'm Cory Mosley, and thanks for joining us today. We've got a great show planned for you today, including my interview with Shrey Bhatia, CEO of Reputation.com. Plus our segments, Don't Be Ridiculous, Here's a Thought, and The Way I See It. Back in the day, to which a dealer recently referred to me as the good old days of automotive retail, there was this idea that a customer has a bad experience and he tells 10 people. Now, of course, in the viral digital world, that number could be millions. During my recent NADA convention workshop, I shared a study that showed 30% of company crisis issues can spread internationally within an hour. According to the Edelman Trust Barometer, 65% of internet users see online search as the most trusted source of information about people and companies. Additionally, a Bright local consumer review survey found that 79% of consumers place an equal weight on both online reviews and personal recommendations. I mean, of course, we know that Google and Bing and Yahoo fact check all information posted to their search engines, so all the information is correct, right? But seriously, Google simply rewards age and frequency, not truth. So working in a volume business where there's 17 million new vehicles being projected to be sold, there has never been a stronger case for proactively protecting your reputation. To discuss this topic further, I went straight to the top of the food chain and invited Mr. Shrey Bhatia, the CEO of Reputation.com, a leader in the field who currently provides online reputation management technology to automakers that include GM, Ford, Jaguar, BMW, Mazda, and a third of all auto dealers in the U.S., including dealer groups like AutoNation, Sonic, CarMax, and Asbury. So, Shrey, tell me, what's the background of Reputation.com?
Yeah, okay, good question. So you know, it's interesting. If you
Great name, by the way. Great name, Reputation.com in the reputation space.
I can't say credit for it, but thank you. It's interesting. When you talk to businesses about reputation, you know, one of the things they'll tell you is, hey guys, you didn't invent reputation. It's been around for 5,000 years since people were trading commerce on the Silk Road, right? So merchants have cared about reputation for thousands of years. What's different now is a business's reputation is easily gleaned online very quickly by end customers, and that's why we exist. So about 10 years ago, we entered the reputation management space, and today we help almost 300,000 businesses monitor and manage their online reputation, including about a third of all auto dealers in the U.S.
Wow. So, and that's why we wanted you here as an expert in this space. So, do you think there's enough emphasis on reputation management and this idea, because like you said, 10 years ago, right?
Yep.
So, you know, you might be at a third of the dealers now, but you probably weren't there 5 years ago. It's probably an acceleration. Do you think there's enough importance right now on reputation?
Yeah, so I think some of the dealers are doing a good job in managing their reputation. The vast majority aren't. And what's important to understand is, if you look at how the auto industry has changed, today the average person who goes in and buys a car visits about 1.1 dealership.
Right.
And so what that's telling you is most of their research and homework and diligence is all being done online.
Right.
And that's which car they want to buy, all the way to which dealer they're going to frequent.
It's not the Saturday motor mile, hey honey, let's get in the car and hit all the dealerships on the major motor mile.
They know they're 95% of the way done before they even walk into the dealership. And the test I always use is I'll talk to an owner of a dealership and I'll ask them this simple question. If you could only pay one bill, and there were two bills staring at you, one was for your landscape person and one was for your reputation person, which one would you pay?
Right.
And the dealers that tell me landscape, they don't get it yet, right? The dealers that say reputation get it because long before they come to your dealership, they're making their decision. And so it doesn't matter how beautiful your facade is or how many palm trees you have or the coffee machine you're serving or the granite countertops. You could lose business.
All that stuff, though.
Yeah, that's all nice. But you got to earn the customer coming there, and that's usually done online with your reputation.
So, in your opinion, now, you know, listen, I work with dealers all over the country. I've been in business for a long time, and as I meet dealers and I talk to dealers, nobody says, Cory, you know what? We want to consciously treat people badly. You know, we want to do the wrong things. Nobody really talks that way. The challenge is kind of how that trickles down through the organization and some of the things that, you know, an owner might not even know about. My kind of question is, do you feel, though, even with the progress we might be making, is it still more proactive or reactive in the reputation environment?
Yeah, good question. So what a lot of dealers get wound up over, I'll talk to a lot of principals and owners, and they'll say, I got this negative review and I'm really fired up and it's not fair and that's not us and all of that type of stuff. And what I tell them is you're missing it, right? If you're getting fired up over one review, then you're being very reactive.
Right.
What the best dealers in the country are doing these days is they've turned it into a system. So what they're doing is they know that if they execute well, they will get 10, 20, 30 reviews a month. And they're not worried about that one negative review. You clearly have to respond to all negative reviews and take care of customers and show that you care. But they realize that if they get a high volume of reviews, then their true body of work is being shown to the outside world.
So I want to play on that for a second. Now, we did send you a few questions in advance, but I told you I would throw you some curveballs.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm interested in the piece about need to respond to all reviews.
Yeah.
So I always like to put a caveat in there.
Yeah.
I lectured on this at the Pasadena ADA convention, talking about a crisis and a PR crisis in the social media world. What advice would you say as it relates to responding to the review?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be fired up
exactly.
and just go right into the response, right?
Yeah, you hit it on the head. Especially auto dealers. Dealers tend to be kind of type A personality, strong conviction. And what I tell them is you're probably the wrong person to respond to those reviews.
Right.
What you want to do is you want to get someone with very even temperament. You want to get someone who's probably an English major, because grammar matters, sentence structure matters. No one wants a bunch of spelling mistakes in a response, especially when they're fired up. So it's important to how you respond to those reviews. So you got to do it, and you've got to do it in a very calm, well thought out way.
Now, how do you feel about the difference between, so what I've seen is I'll see the response to the customer, but then I'll see this defensive, I see these two. I'll see we at the dealership want to speak out about what's being posted about us, and it's really a message to other people that might be reading it. What's your thoughts about that?
That's a mistake. And if you come across very defensive, then the marketplace sees that, and they don't respond well to that. What they respond well to is everyone understands that no business is perfect. In fact, the best, and we deal with all levels of auto dealership. We deal with the best in the country, and we deal with folks who are just starting. And I'll tell you, even
that have challenges.
That have challenges, right? Exactly right. And even the best in the country will have 15% of their reviews and feedback be negative, because they truly made a mistake, or they were delayed in an appointment, or they scheduled too many in a certain block of time.
Or the customer had some expectations that maybe couldn't.
Maybe
so I don't want to always put it on the dealer.
No, absolutely, absolutely. It's both sides. But what customers love to see is you acknowledge that in a very professional way. You tell them you want to make it right, you try and make it right, and you move on. If you start to become defensive and give a big speech there, it just doesn't show well. People are used to seeing negative feedback, and then the next thing they look at is what's the response. And if the response is professional and reasonable, they're like, okay, this dealer cares, and I'm still willing to consider them.
So one of the things I've been talking about, and it's been very interesting to me. So I mean, listen, I'm a sales guy. That's my deal. I use data as a means to help my case in what I do, but I'm not sitting there in front of all analytics. What I'm interested in, and one of the things I'm really connecting the dots on, is the relationship between the review versus the referral, and how the referral and review relationship are changing. Because it used to be, hey, go see my buddy, and then you just went and saw the guy's buddy and you did business. Now it's kind of, well, hold on a minute, I'll get your referral, but I need to do some fact checking myself. What correlation are you seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah, excellent. And I'll be even more direct. I'll ask your question more directly. Is there a correlation between your online reputation and revenue, right? And that's what dealers really care about, is, okay, I'm going to do all this. ROI, exactly right. And so what we did is, late last year, we did a study with one of the top 3 auto manufacturers in the country, where we actually plugged into several dealers' DMS system, and we tracked their sales and their revenue, and we tracked what they were doing in the reputation management side.
I see.
And what we found was those dealers that are improving and monitoring and managing their reputation had a 40% higher likelihood of growing their revenue. And the correlation was very strong. And so there's study after study that's been done that shows that there is a tight correlation between having a good online reputation and growing your revenue. The other thing you'll find if you're into data is, you know that the auto industry is having another solid year this year on the back of a solid year last year.
Right.
But interestingly, did you know that last year was also one of the highest years for dealer closures? And what you're finding is the dealers that are closing are struggling to make it in this online world. They're not sure how it works. It's very different than what they were used to 20, 30 years ago.
I'll tell you, it just popped in my head. We had a sales guy. We were doing a CRM kind of installation and deal in the store. And we had a guy just said, you know what, I'm just going to retire, because I'm not calling customers on their birthday. I'm not calling customers in service drive. Exactly. I'm not sending I'm not handing leaflets to do it. I just give up.
Yeah.
And he just basically said uncle and tapped out.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of folks who say, you know, I'm really good at selling cars.
Right.
I'm not really great at doing the 20 things I need to do to make sure I've got a good online reputation. And what I tell them is, hey, you know what? You're probably not really good either at trimming your palm tree and cutting the grass and knowing when to put in the weed and feed.
I thought you were going to say selling cars.
No.
Okay.
So that's where you want to go get an expert, right? And get someone who knows what they're doing. Get someone who has the English majors on staff and people who know how to engage in the social media world and know how to reach out on birthdays. And if you can do that, then you continue to focus on selling cars and outsource that to someone who knows how to do that.
Now, you're in all different verticals.
Correct.
So what I like about this also is what I'm interested in is, and for our viewers, is there something unique to the auto industry?
Yeah.
Is it different in healthcare? Is it different in these other? Now, I understand the customers. I mean, obviously the guy drives his Civic to the doctor, so it's the same kind of customer. But are there unique things that you're seeing in auto as it relates to the other industries?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you, the auto folks, they kind of tell me that they feel victimized a lot because they get all these negative reviews and people are lashing out at them. What I tell them is, it's actually the opposite. You're very fortunate in the auto industry. And I speak to executives across every industry, hospitality and retail and automotive and medical. And you know how hard it is for the 7-Eleven guy to get someone to leave a review on the bottle of water they just bought? Impossible, right? But in auto, you're selling the second most expensive thing a consumer is ever going to buy. And so in that scenario, it's actually very easy to get reviews. You simply just have to ask in the proper way at the proper time, and you can get reviews for new, and you can get reviews for service, and so in auto, it's very clean and it's very easy. You just have to engage, and if you engage, you'll get positive feedback. Now, that doesn't mean your feedback's going to be all good. You've got to do a good job. You've got to be running a good operation, and if you are, then the online feedback will reflect that.
So you kind of, and thank you for that. You kind of, walk as a company two different ropes as it relates to the industry. There's the manufacturer work that you're doing and the enterprise level application, and then there's the dealer aspects to this. So how do you advise, because sometimes the agendas are not frankly aligned. There are just challenges there. So how do you advise in that particular area and stay effective? Do you see a strategy when you're working with a dealer different than the enterprise level or working with the manufacturer?
Yeah, absolutely. So the manufacturers, they don't own these dealerships, right? And so they're not involved at the tactical selling level. That's more dealer by dealer. What manufacturers care about the most is reporting and metrics. So they come to us and say, okay, you're sitting on a perch, you're looking at the entire auto industry, all 18,000 dealers in the country. Tell us how our dealers are doing. Tell us how they compare against another company. Tell us how they compare in this particular region. And so they're all about reporting and metrics, and tell us about the reputation. And that's why we've invested so heavily in our reputation score. We could give any dealer in the country their reputation score.
Now, what's that? What is that?
So what that is reputation's complicated, right? It's 20 different things you need to do, and so if you try and measure all 20, it's hard. What we do is we put all those 20 together, and we give people a score. And that includes your reviews and your social and your business listings and everything, and then we give you one score. It's like a credit score. So we do it on a 1,000-point scale. The best dealers in the country today are sitting at around 850. The dealers who are just starting and getting their feet wet in reputation are sitting at 150 or 200.
What's the biggest jump you've ever seen in the shortest period of time? What pops in your head?
Oh, so there's no shortcut. It's tough to go from 150 to 850 overnight. But
come on, that's all we need to do. I'm looking 30 days here. How do we get a hand on this thing?
Wants to move that fast. No, but if you engage and you do the right thing and you let your reputation vendor plug into your CRM system and do it the right way and engage your customers, I've seen dealers go from 150 to 400 in 3-4 months. And then I've seen them by the end of the year get up into the 700s, and then by 18 months they're sitting at the 800s. They feel good. There's more leads coming in. There's more traffic coming through the door. It's good. It works. If you're running a good operation,
right,
it's a shame if you're not managing your reputation online. Your reputation should reflect that.
What's your advice for somebody just getting started? Say, you know what, we're ready to take this seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's Google reviews, there's others, but we're ready to take this seriously, put a real effort behind it.
Yeah.
What's step one in your mind?
Yeah, good. So step one is you got to figure out whether you want to do it yourself or you want someone to do it for you. If you want to do it yourself, what I tell the dealer is, look, it can't be your niece doing it for the summer because she's socially savvy and all that type of stuff.
Can work the computer.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And you know, because you need skill sets in terms of reviews, which involves a lot of writing and English and grammar, social, which involves the curation of content and then the posting and then the scheduling of content, business listings, which is all about being organized and making sure your listings are correct and retaining the credentials for all of these sites. So it's a variety of different skill sets. So if you're going to do it yourself, you need to assign people to it, and you need to make sure they have the skill sets you need.
Gotcha.
If you're going to outsource it, then make sure you scrub your vendor well. Make sure they're truly a technology company, because a lot of this is technology. There's fat pipes that go into the manufacturer directly that allow us to get transaction records of who's buying what and who's servicing what. There are fat pipes that go into Google and Facebook and these Cars.com and Edmunds and other big review sites that make it easy to distribute these
versus
reviews.
a more laborious
versus more of the ad agencies who are just going to throw people at it.
Gotcha.
Right? And hey, I'm really great. I know how to post something on social. It's more about the technology. The people are a part of it, and so the vendor needs both. But I'd shy away from the hey, we're just going to work hard and throw people at the problem. It doesn't work that way. You need to be deep in the technology side to make this work.
All right, so like we're going to pretend like nobody's watching, like, you know, and it's just you and I talking.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon?
Yeah.
Like, what's coming?
Yeah. So that's a great question, right?
What's the secret?
Yeah.
What can I get in front of already that, you know?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of big trends that are taking place in the marketplace, right?
Okay.
So I'll give you an example of two. So one is, if you look at what's going on by certain demographics and ethnic groups, you'd be shocked. I'll give you an example. Did you know that in the Hispanic population, 55% of all people that buy cars do 100% of their research on a mobile device?
No.
So they build the car on their phone,
Really?
They do all the research on their phone, they find the dealer they're going to visit on their phone, never touch a desktop, never touch a laptop, it's all on a mobile phone. So one of the trends is, you're going to, and by the way, that number for the broader US population is about 32%. So 32% of all Americans are buying a car without ever getting on a desktop. It's all the research done on the mobile phone. And so you got to make sure you look good on mobile devices as well as your desktops. That's number one. Number two is, you know, we commissioned some research earlier this year, and what we found was really interesting. We found that there's two groups. There's your baby boomers, and then there's your new millennials.
Right.
And the baby boomers, they're 30% more likely to go to your traditional site and take in what you've got for them and make a decision based on that. The millennials are 300% more likely to go to Google or Cars or other third-party sites, because they're all about, tell me what my peer network is saying, tell me what the crowd is saying. I'm going to triangulate and figure out which product I want, which dealer I'm going to go to, who I'm going to engage with. And so it's important, in 4 years, a third of car buyers will be these millennials.
That's right.
So it's important that dealerships get ahead of that and make sure that they're looking good, not only on their website, but on all these other sites that these millennials frequent. So those are some of the trends we're seeing.
Well, excellent. That's a wealth of knowledge. I'm certainly, you know, my goal is always to be, can I be smarter than that? Can I talk to someone like you, be smarter than I was a few minutes ago? And we've certainly accomplished that today. Shrey, I want to thank you for joining us and Reputation.com for the knowledge today and everything you're doing for the industry.
That's wonderful. Corey, thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate it.
Take care.
Now we come to a favorite segment of mine.
Don't be ridiculous.
This is a segment where the dealer shall remain nameless, but the true life situation and circumstances must be shared. So here's the scenario. A dealer is offering as-is units on his lot. They sell a customer vehicle for about $3,000, to which ACV is really around $1,200. Less than 48 hours later, the car breaks down with a major engine problem. The customer, of course, is livid. I mean, let's be realistic. The chances are somebody giving you $3,000 for a car most likely isn't doing that because they have a ton of options, and that $3,000 probably represents a significant amount of out-of-pocket money for them. So, the customer calls the dealer, has a heated exchange, and out of principle, because of the customer's attitude, the dealer decided he wasn't going to do anything about the situation, citing the fact that the vehicle was sold as is. Well, of course, the customer goes on a social media tirade, hammering Google, Yelp, DealerRater, and every place he can find, all this over a $1,200 issue. It's just not worth it. And to that, my friends, I simply have to say,
Don't be ridiculous.
if you have a don't be ridiculous story you'd like me to share, email us at cbtshow@corymosley.com. If we select your story to air, we'll send you your very own Don't Be Ridiculous t-shirt. And now, here's a thought. Maybe switch the guy to something else or give him his money back. Chances are you've taken bigger write-downs than $1,200. In a world where someone's problem can quickly become someone else's cause, it's just not worth it to have someone's negative story out there floating around, especially if it can be avoided. In situations like that, try not reacting in the moment and avoid going from your gut. In our final segment today, looking back at today's show, I'd like you to think about how you currently manage the reputation of your dealership and what the impact can be on referrals. There was a time when someone simply gave you a referral and that you would just go do business with them. I remember when we were promoting one of our sales workshops and another dealer literally texted his friend who was a GM at another store about giving one of my team members a few minutes to discuss our event, but when my guy got there, their GM pretended to be in a meeting. So not even the referral is a foolproof process at the basic level. Now, add in reviews and you've got another hurdle to jump. Recently, I asked someone I trusted for a referral on a tailor. After getting the referral, I went online and looked that person up. Let's just say he had some less than stellar reviews. Not so much about the quality of the tailoring, but more about how people were being treated there. During my online search, I also came upon another tailor with great reviews, some local awards, and he was just as close to my house. So, easy to guess, I just went there. Reputation management and reviews isn't just about how you handle a customer's issues and complaints, but about making sure your wildly satisfied customers and fans don't simply keep you a secret. Most managers in the hospitality industry will tell you the ratio of complaints to praise is hugely skewed towards complaints. And since nobody's perfect, it's even more important to be executing a comprehensive reputation management strategy, and that's simply the way I see it. This has been Progressive Retail on CBT News. I'm Cory Mosley, and I will see you next time.